So good evening, everyone, and on behalf of my group, I'd like to thank you all for being here, although I know most of you have to be here. But I still thank you. And so Meredith, Marcus, and myself all have some pretty exciting things to tell you over the next 20 minutes. So we invite you to listen, and we'll laugh together, cry together a little. No, I'm kidding. There's no crying. Please don't cry at our presentation. We tried to work hard on it. So an overview of what we're going to talk about over the next 20 minutes. We'll start with the history, so get a good foundation of what the gallery, how the gallery started, and why, essentially. Next, we'll move on to the current role in culture that it plays on the campus and in London as a whole. We'll then go on to implement, or to tell you about what we would hope to be implemented as a short-term plan of action. And then we'll talk about this app, which you'll see all about later. And finally, we'll end with our long-term sort of plan. So, for the history, we have a quote. A real building is one on which the eye can light and stay lit. Now, this was said by Ezra Pound once. And so we have all this art in London, and the problem they used to have was that they had no place for the art. So we needed a building. So let's talk about how it was made. Right, so as you can see, in the beginning, they had all this art and the passion for the art, and they wanted to see the art, but they didn't have a place for it in London. So now we have this beautiful building, McIntosh Gallery, with these stunning red doors, but where are the students? Where is everyone? And I guess that's sort of the main problem we want to tackle today, right? That's why we have this case study. And so we took to the streets of Western in a BuzzFeed-inspired video, and we wanted to just hear what the students had to say, right? So here we go.
Art gallery on campus?
Yes.
Okay, do you know where it is?
On campus? Am I wrong?
No. The McIntosh Gallery. It's the art gallery is over there, somewhere, right? Yes.
Do you know where it is?
Yes.
Can you point it out?
Isn't it in front of social science?
Yes. Okay, where is it on campus? Near the physics building? I know it has a red door.
Cool. I'll go to the McIntosh Gallery. Oh,
perfect, yeah. I've actually been inside. I actually kind of watched the cool exhibits right now that I just looked up, but I don't know. I've never been.
I have not.
Well, I have not been inside.
Not like a direct reason, I just have never been over there. No. Why not?
Never got around to it. There's a lot of white and there's a chair in one room.
Why not?
Because when I came across their Instagram account, it kind of satisfied my curiosity requirement.
Well, I haven't admitted it. Actually, only recently. Like about it a couple of weeks ago, I was walking through class and one of my friends pointed it out and said it was interesting. I just never even knew about it until that. So.
Okay, so I went there. It was for an exam, which is random. I want to say I was building with me, it wasn't. I was I think if you have like that big exhibition, that's really heavily promoted, and you know, it features like either big names or students' work, and there's advertising leading up to it. I could have a higher font for signs.
Maybe if there were signs or some sort of advertisement around here, I'll bring something like that.
I don't know. I guess like not a lot of people know about it, or they don't know that they have access to it, so maybe more publicized, like, I don't know.
Well, first, I don't know what themes of art they promote. So, if, for example, I knew there was, I guess, an English medieval theme, then I would be interested. At least I would know that this is just a theme that's being promoted, rather than just a diverse thing where I'm not really pulled into it.
Any information? Well, like information in the first place.
So that's what the students have to say. I know, very insightful people. So not really a critique, more of what did we pull from the students? What did we get from them? So first we'll talk a little bit about the strengths. So essentially everyone except that one guy who was right outside the gallery knew about the gallery. And you can see a lot of students had that curiosity, right? They didn't know what was going on, but they kind of wanted to know. You could feel it from them. The location is awesome, right in the middle of campus. All different faculties are surrounding them and easily accessible to like different faculties. It's just right there in the middle. And it is that interest in art from the students. We know it's there. People say, I want to go, but they just haven't. So that brings us to the weaknesses. So the building's a little intimidating. I mean, it's gorgeous, but not everyone knows they have access. That's how it is, right? And it needs more advertising. That's something we heard from essentially every student in that last segment, right? We need more advertising. We don't know what's going on. We want to know what's going on. Not enough to entice the students. They said they want to go, but nothing is pushing them to go. Nothing's stopping them, so that's good. But what's pushing them? And apparently there's nothing yet. And then obviously financial constraints and limited collection. Limited collection, we think. That's what the students think, but we know we have that storage filled with things. Now, where did we get these from? It's not just from those few students we interviewed, but we took a full survey of almost 100 students, and Marcus will come up here now and we'll discuss some of those things.
All right, yeah, so as Chris said, we had 92 responses. We distributed this over all of our social media accounts, and I just want to go through the results really quickly. They're fairly basic, but as you can see in this first question, have you ever heard of the McIntosh Gallery? The overwhelming percentage was yes, but juxtaposed to the second question, have you ever been inside? The answer was no. So our goal, the main objective here is to get the people that have heard of it inside. And we'll discuss how we're going to do that a bit later, but first I want to just say that there is clear interest in not only the McIntosh Gallery, but art, and an art gallery specifically. As you can see, the majority of students answered yes to the fact that art gallery would be interesting to them. And our final set of questions is about our app. So Chris mentioned it, and Meredith's going to expand on it, but that's our main idea. And as you can see, most students wouldn't download an app of just the gallery, but if it had some sort of promotions, for example, store credit at the bookstore or Tim Hortons gift card, there needs to be some sort of enticing for the app. And I'm going to hit on that in a second, but that's the major thing to get them not only inside, but to download our app. This is an interesting quote. I know the other groups spoke on the power of red. There's red doors, there's red everything here. Red is one of the strongest colors. It's blood. It is a power with the eye. So we're going to play on this because of, the notorious red doors, which you see some students only know the gallery from. We're going to use that concept and run with it. Alright, so for our first marketing strategy, we have 3. This is the most simple. We want banners. And when I say we want banners, I mean banners everywhere. So we want them during Frosh Week. We want them in the Talbot Bowl when when there's concerts on stage, during homecoming, at the football games. We want banners. We want one specifically outside the gallery. I know there's one right now, but we want large. We want inviting words like "welcome" and "come in" into this big, bold letters. It will make sure that the students know that they're wanted, and it'll simply just identify it more. This idea, it's really interesting. It's sort of guerrilla marketing campaign. I know it's kind of confusing to get to this actual spot, but there's like purple footprints all over this building. We're kind of thinking red footprints all over campus, because it kind of has, you guys know how the gallery has some sort of mystery, right? It's kind of shrouded in some sort of unknown, illustrious, we're not really sure. It's kind of this underground, cool concept. These footprints would expand on that. They'd be leading from the major faculty buildings. We focus on natural science and social science because simply the most students are from there. We would have them leading to the gallery. Again, it would show that people are wanted, and it's playful appeal, it piques interest, it's relatively cost effective. Really, only thing would be the actual sticker footprints, but it's realistic and it'd be really cool to raise interest. So that's to get people inside the actual gallery. But another goal of ours is to attract people to the app, because we need social media buzz. We all know we're students. We spend a lot of our time on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So that's why we would have this hashtag what's behind the red doors. The objective of this is to eliminate confusion about the doors and attract the app. What's behind the red doors? People are actually interested to go inside, which would be awesome. If we pump this again during Frosh Week, we could really create interest. Cool thing about the actual hashtag is students would have to download the app in order to input the hashtag to get the result, the reward. The reward would be some sort of raffle thing. They would be entered into a raffle if they inputted the hashtag, and then they would need to download our app, and once we've got them, which is great. Another cool advantage to the app, this is like what really brings it to the next level, is that we can engage with businesses and we can engage with all sorts of things, galleries, restaurants, anything downtown. We can have outside of Museum London hashtag what's behind the red doors, and we could just partner with these sort of organizations, and when people go there, they would become more enticed to download our app, as well as submit a response and then hopefully visit the gallery.
All right, so the long-awaited moment. I'm going to get to the app, but first I want to start with a quote by Thomas Merton from No Man is an Island. So art enables us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time. I think we can all admit that we have found ourselves and lost ourselves in technology, but I'm hoping with this app that people will lose themselves in it and find themselves at the McIntosh Gallery. So this is a fully functioning app. Afterwards, if any of you guys want to download it onto your phones, I can do that for you if you have a smartphone or a tablet. But I'll just take you through it with some screenshots. So first we've got the homepage here. It's pretty long, but in real life you would scroll down. And this shows just the overview of the homepage and the buttons that are available. Next we've got an About Us section, so this links directly to the McIntosh website. Anytime it's updated, the app would also be updated. And then a really crucial part would be the Contact Us and map. So there's a lot of confusion about where the gallery is, particularly for that guy standing right in front of it. So this would really help students to know when they're open, who they can email or phone to see what exhibits are up, where to find it on campus. That's really important, right? So that's a crucial part of our app as well. So this is getting a little more into the interactive part of the app. So first thing over here on the left, we've got a link to the Virtual Museum of Canada. So a lot of museums around Canada, and particularly the McIntosh, can put online exhibits onto this website, as well as interactive games and different facts and things that talk about artists and their art. So that'll be a really interesting way for students to get even more involved in art once they kind of have their interest piqued at the McIntosh. The next one is an events page. So let's say that Ron Benner has an exhibit opening April 7th. Okay, so you can go to the events page, see that it's opening then, and if you need to get a ticket, you can do that. So if I want to get a ticket, I would click the ticket, and it would go to this page. So I see that it's free. I can get some wine and cheese during the opening. That's great. And I see a picture of the art, so I know what I'm in for. And we've also added an audio section. So in a lot of museums, you can go around to different exhibits and listen to the audio to see what the artist was thinking, what the art represents, things like that. In this class, we were all lucky enough to be able to tour Ron Benner's exhibit with James, but not everyone has that opportunity. So it would be great to be able to listen to that anytime you visit the exhibit. This is the social media section. So there's a button for Facebook, photos that link to McIntosh's Facebook page, their Twitter featuring Josh Lambier, and their Instagram page. So that's a really important part of promoting McIntosh Gallery, and of course it's included in our app. And this is where the really cool section comes in. So one really crucial thing is that students want something that's going to entice them to come to the gallery. So we've included a virtual scratch card. So let's say I wanted to visit the McIntosh Gallery. I would go into the red doors and I would see someone sitting at a desk right at the top of the stairs. I would hand that person my phone and they would type in a code. Let's say 2019, since that's our course code. So they would type that in, hand my phone back to me after pressing OK, and I would virtually scratch the surface of my phone with my finger. And unfortunately, I got better luck next time. But the chances of winning are about 30%, which is pretty good. So hopefully the McIntosh could use some of their funding to create small prizes such as a gift card for hospitality services or a gift card to Tim Hortons, something like that. Or maybe they would even donate that to the McIntosh Gallery to help with its promotion. Another really cool one is adding the QR scanner. So there's a lot of art in the gallery, but there's also a lot of art around campus. So they've all got these little descriptions beside them. So we're suggesting that the McIntosh Gallery adds a QR code to each of those little descriptions that someone can scan using their phone. So if I scanned it, I would be able to get information about the artist, about the art. Maybe it's a student artist, I could learn about them and their story, and I could learn more online. So that's just another way to help integrate art into everyone's everyday life. So hopefully the app would generate a lot of interest, and that's more of a short-term plan, but we want to transition now and talk about something that's a little bit more long-term. And that's an expansion on the gallery. So something that really represents what the expansion would mean to us is great art picks up where nature ends. And that was said by Marc Chagall. So before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's talk about how we would expand the gallery. So a satellite gallery has been suggested, but we think that doesn't really coincide with the idea of having this campus art gallery, so we want to keep it all in one place. Oops. So we would add it on to the end, to the back. So this is the Physics and Astronomy building. This is the existing McIntosh Gallery. And this is where we'd expand. So there would be a big area that could be used as a venue for really anything. And I'll get a little more into that. We've also created a cafe, restaurant, and bar called Red, which would be part of the expansion, and then a green space. So it would be kind of like a courtyard or a garden area that would help students to feel comfortable to be in and around the gallery. So this is what we've envisioned for the outside. These photos are all taken from different architecture firms in Toronto, New York City. In particular, we drew a lot of inspiration from Hariri Pontarini, which is the architect firm that created the new Ivy building. So that's what we're envisioning for the McIntosh Gallery. So this is the McLaren Art Gallery in Barrie, Ontario, and we were really inspired by this because they kept the old facade, as you can see, but they've added this new contemporary piece on, and somehow it really does look seamless. So this relates to what I was talking about with nature. We want the new addition to seamlessly integrate with nature as well as the old McIntosh facade. We want it to all be seamless and all look beautiful together. So we're envisioning something that's very airy, green and white, very clean, crisp, and fresh. This is kind of an example of what we would envision for the courtyard. So stones, greenery, kind of a contemporary space. And these are some images from the new Ivy building. And this is another example of the old facade of a building that's kind of juxtaposed with this contemporary piece, but it all somehow does look seamless. On the inside of the gallery, this is what we've envisioned. So white and marble, okay, featuring some art within the new addition. So this is kind of a hallway that shows art or features sculptures, which could be an interesting way to display collections that are permanently owned by McIntosh. And this is an example of something that we could do in the gallery. So with that huge new space, featuring different artists, maybe at work, featuring maybe a mentorship program between artists from the community and student artists in London, doing work together side by side, Okay? So those are all possibilities if we were to have this expansion. And probably the most fun part of this whole presentation is what we dreamed up, and it's the idea of this cafe and resto bar called Red. So it's kind of a classier version of all the other restaurants on campus, and it hits that target for things that aren't really offered to students right now. So these are just some images from different areas in Ontario. So we want to have a green wall for sure to integrate nature into our restaurant. This is a bar that shows kind of an old building that's had a renovation added on. And we think that would be a really cool way to integrate the bar, because you get that architecture, but you also get that kind of cultural space and that restaurant feel. So that's how we dreamed up Red. And lastly, probably most importantly, we really want to increase the accessibility to McIntosh Gallery. Currently, the gallery itself is not wheelchair accessible, and especially with an aging population within the London community, this is becoming increasingly important. So this is kind of an image that we took from an architectural firm, and it shows an old building with a newer addition on the end, and that's kind of what we envision for the McIntosh Gallery as a whole. With the addition, we would be able to have elevators, maybe new washrooms that are wheelchair accessible, and some other things that would help with accessibility. So to summarize our ideas, we think that some of the weaknesses that the McIntosh Gallery faces right now could be solved by both our short-term goals and our long-term goals. So the short-term goals that Marcus discussed really revolved around increasing marketing and promotion through using banners, red footprints, and an interesting new hashtag idea. Once we generate some more buzz and hopefully some more funding, we could start to explore these long-term plans, such as implementing the app that we've created and expanding the gallery in the future. So overall, hopefully that would help to increase the gallery's presence on campus, as well as help with its role in culture. So I'd like to end with this quote by Andre Malraux that says, "Culture is the sum of all the forms of art, of love, and of thought, which over the course of centuries have enabled men to be less enslaved." And that just demonstrates how important art is in our culture, in our community, and on our campus, and why these ideas are so important. So with that, we'd like to open the floor to any questions you guys have for us and for the rest of our group members.
Yeah, any questions? Give you some time.
I'll ask the obvious one.
Yeah.
How does the awesome renovation get paid for?
That's a very good question.
That is a good question. So that would definitely be a long-term goal. I believe renovations for the gallery would be paid for through joint funding. So hopefully from the university, from fundraising initiatives by the gallery, and then hopefully from some government grants. So through those three sources, hopefully as the gallery gains more recognition through marketing and promotional strategies, and demonstrates that it does play a really important role in the culture of Western, that funding would be able to be generated, but of course it is a long-term plan.
Yeah, we recognize the ambition, how this would be multi-million dollars, how this would be such an ambitious project, but as Meredith said exactly, hopefully over time we could generate more and more with more and more interest, with more and more funding from various sources. It is some sort of dream project.
And to go with that, I mean, before the gallery was even, before it was created, there was that, not even a problem of how we're going to expand it, but how are we going to even get it, right? And just through that curiosity and that passion that was instilled in the people, someone donated $50,000, and that wasn't just one person, a bunch of people did that. So hopefully through all our ideas that we presented, we get people, through our short term, everyone becomes more involved, and then they're willing to give us some money, right?
Or finding some more China.
With restaurants on campus, such as The Wave, already recording at a profit loss, and the Grad Club reporting that they currently need funding, hence using Interact or cash only, why do you think that Red is a good idea for the student body?
I'll take on. Sure. Well, we think that it kind of it offers a different environment. So rather than being a place where you grab burgers, fries, and beer, which there are a lot of on campus, it provides a place where you can have formals, or you can have different events that are maybe more dressy. You can go on dates even, if you want to, right? So it's more of a dressed up environment, and I think it offers something fresh and new to campus that the grad club or the Spoke don't as much. That being said, I think the grad club is, I'm not going to comment on the grad club. I think in terms of promotion, it's not as prominent as something like the Spoke or the Wave, which do all right, or at least break even. So the goal of the gallery is not to run a business, but it's to offer a cultural place for people to interact and to socialize. So I think even if Red broke even and generated a small profit, that would be enough. But I think mainly it just offers something new.
Right. The Spoke is essentially fast food, and which is surrounded by other fast food options. The idea of Red is that there would be no competition. It would be a higher class, and yeah, students might not go to it for their fast food lunch, 4 o'clock, whatever, beer, wings, whatever type thing, but it's a totally different idea. It's a totally different, they would go on dates there, you know?
There's always a need for formals, like always. Every res has its own formal, every faculty has its own formal, and we always go to banquet halls and stuff. So instead of doing that, stay on campus, do it right in the center. And the point of it, right, is we want to entice people to come into the gallery more, right? So we want to keep Western in Western and bring outside of Western in Western, right?
Wouldn't that rely on the gallery's hours, however? Because you think about all of the restaurants and resto bars downtown that people have options to go to. Why Red versus all of those?
Well, yeah, it would absolutely rely on the gallery's hours. But say Meredith was just telling me how there's 2 successful restaurants in Museum London, right? And if you go to Toronto, there's successful restaurants in the ROM and type thing. So there are like fashion shows that would require the restaurants to be open later. Plus, we could just have sort of night events in the restaurant.
Also, if you're classy and drinking wine, then you don't have to pay for a cab because it's right on campus, so it's kind of a convenience.
Yeah, location is big.
Also, it would be functioning separately from the gallery. So I'll go back to an image that I had from the interior of the gallery. So, for example, this idea here. Okay, so this would represent the current gallery space that's open right now, and this would represent the new renovated space. So as you can see here, it's almost like garage doors being able to open or close. And obviously the gallery does face other issues such as climate-controlled rooms and things like that. But theoretically, that would be a really interesting idea to be able to close off the restaurant from the gallery and have it operating as a functional entity on its own, and that way it wouldn't rely on gallery hours. So, yeah.
I just wanted to say I admire you for your ambition, especially in light of the common ways that people talk about academia from people who should know better. That is that it's all about austerity and efficiency, and the arts aren't there for those reasons. They're there out of a sense of generosity, and that we can be better than an idea where the only thing that is valuable is how efficient you can make someone or what labor you can get out of them. The arts testify to something more generous in human nature, and that bespeaks that, your vision for the architecture.
Thank you. Yeah, do you have a phone? I do. Or I can actually, why don't I just grab my phone? That would be easier. But I promise it will work on any phone.
Yeah, it's fully active.
Yeah, we have 3 events running right now.
Yeah, which you can buy tickets for, but I suggest not because they're not really real events.
Yeah.
You kind of just put them up there as like, just to show you what we could do on that.
So I got one.
Same with the audio,
okay.
yes.
It works on iPhones and smartphones.
Oh, sure.
But an iPad or a tablet. So, if you guys want to see, so this is the icon for the app. It's the red doors.
Great.
And then you can just pass my phone around and just browse.
Oh,
There
okay,
are.
we can download it.
I can download for you.
So like you do that.
There are a couple things that don't work because they're not subjects until you actually purchase the app and put it on the store.
What I really like about what you guys have done here is you bookended the creation of the gallery as a moment of generosity, inexplicable moment of generosity with McIntosh, which made the gallery possible. And then speculated that what would it look like if we had another moment like that. And I think that's great. The other thing that I love about this as well is that often students aren't involved in those inexplicable moments, that they usually take place behind doors that you will never see until you become part of those doors. And I really like the fact that you guys have taken the opportunity to speculate from the student perspective of what you would like to see if something like that were to take place. The question that I have is with the app, as judges are looking at the app, what are some of the things that you've mentioned, some of the ideas? What could students do to be involved in the app, to make it interactive, to make the app something that you could be a part of, that you could contribute to? I'm thinking of the art share program, how we would maybe populate the content for that reading of code.
So like every kind of like social media aspect needs like a head or like a leader. So like if you were like the leader to the social media page, I guess where Meredith showed like it was the Instagram, the Facebook, the whatever, and like I'm sure there is someone on the committee who already sits like that, so they would be in charge of kind of taking control of that part in the app too. Even if you were to open it up to students, like if in my, like, I'm always on Twitter, so if I truly, and I'm super artsy-fartsy as well, so like I would definitely love to like call the McIntosh Gallery and be like, hey, can I run your Twitter page? I would love to do that, because like I'm just really into that, and I'm sure a lot of students would also be into that, so it kind of promotes leadership in a sense that different pages on this app, or like different like activities, or like even the scrap, like in multiple ways, if you can get people interested to come and like be a page on the app, I guess you could say.
That's a great idea. I've even been thinking too that if you have a code that links to each of the art pieces, you could actually react to them. So you could actually, each student could comment on the art.
There are definitely endless possibilities for the app, and there is one section we could do for, say, reviews. So people reviewing different exhibits once they see them, or there were some other ones.
There was like, people could submit their like little surveys, so they could say, I'm part of this faculty and this is something I would like to see. So then you get that response from the student body of what they actually want to see. And if
like forums, like a forum discussion where like if you had the app, like the app has like a page where you kind of log in, so it'd be like my username and whatever, and like I can go on this forum and talk to other students about what's going on and why I love this piece in the art gallery and why you should come out and see it. So like promoting that kind of discussion on the app is like a really good thing too, just because it brings more awareness.
And the great thing about the hashtag, we want to implement that in the very beginning of the year, right? And then if that's a huge success, which likely it will be because everyone's on Twitter, like Miriam was saying, and especially like those short, simple hashtags, they just go viral. And then after that, say those QR codes that people see around campus will be like, oh yeah, I had that great time I had in McIntosh Gallery that first week, like I want to see what this is about. And they'll like, keep coming back to it.
Yeah, and with the Twitter hashtag, like if you bring that up more and more and more, then it gets to a point where like you could almost have like this event where it's like the huge reveal of what's behind the red door, right? And like that was one of the events that we put on the page, is like if you build up the curiosity with like all the newcomers that are coming in during O week, then have this huge opening where like people can just like freely walk in and out of it, and then just like it just kind of like, wow, big reveal, what is behind the red door kind of thing.
Yeah, in terms of the art share program as well. Obviously, like we only had a 20-minute presentation, but so it was limited. But there are like so many possibilities. We could even do students uploading their own art, sharing their own art with each other, inspiring each other to create new pieces. That would be a really interesting way to promote creativity. We also talked a little bit about, and obviously we don't know if this would be fully feasible, but talked a little bit about creating classes where you have to tour exhibits on the Virtual Museum of Canada, and that provides students with kind of introduction to that. Or, you know, like there's so many possibilities, right? Like we spent probably 10 minutes answering that question, because there are so many possibilities, and we just kind of put together a prototype of what we thought would work well for right now. But there definitely are
Yeah, it's just more of the convenience. It's there where, there's information about everything, not only to social media. And to the app could just be the starting point. You might not know that McIntosh has a Facebook, a Twitter, an Instagram. And so it's just the foundation and the start of the learning. So from there you can, add and follow them, etc., and pursue that on your own. But it's the ground point where, all the information is there, laid out for you. You can choose what you choose to interact with. And the fact that it's there, it's convenient, it's easy, and it's just laid out for you, there's no mystery now.
Can I just ask, do you guys think at the end of the day people would end up going to the app to use Instagram and Twitter, or do you think they go on their Instagram and Twitter app and use it?
Probably the second one, but just the point of it is that, I personally didn't know McIntosh was on Instagram. So, if I came across that in the app and I was like, oh, hey, look at their Instagram, I'd probably scroll in it first before I added them on my actual, Instagram app. But, it's...
You might not have them.
But what?
So there's a chance you might not have them.
And that's fine,
Yeah,
because as long as I have the app, even if I didn't add them on my actual, it's already there for me. So whether or not I personally do it, if I were to go on the app, I'd be like, oh cool, since I'm here already, I might as well just check what's going on their Instagram page. So it's, again, so it's just really a matter of convenience and awareness.
I don't know, everything was really me. I just kind of was wondering.
It's definitely invalid.
There's also just that added benefit. There's extra things the app will do that some Instagram and Twitter won't have, those surveys and the forums and the audio visual.
The other aspects.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, it's not just an Instagram feed.
Oh yeah, I know. I just focusing on that aspect of it.
I think the app is great.
Okay.
Yeah, overall the app is meant to be for the other stuff. It's just more to raise awareness. Yeah, it was Miriam pretty much said everything.
Great, you guys. That's so good.
Thanks, guys.